Hey, welcome back to another Notebook Show with the hockey coach Francis directly for the beautiful country of Thailand. What an amazing Tuesday night now on the March 4th, 2025. Usually we do the Notebook the Wednesday night, but because the session, the trade deadline, and the Laval Rocket tomorrow, and the Montreal play yesterday, and the news for the Montreal Canadiens, we decide to come tonight to do the Notebook. And of course, we're going to have the full house of the co-hosts talking about the Montreal Canadiens and the NHL news. A couple of trade happenings during the day today. We talk about that. They have a many game on the program in NHL, 10 game in action tonight. And many of them are the team and the mix all on the race of the playoff on the Eastern Conference. So we'll see the result of the game tonight. What could also happen for the Montreal Canadiens because before the game starts tonight, Montreal Canadiens are only 1 point behind the last spot of the World Cup number 2 and the Eastern Conference after the big W yesterday by a score 4-3 against the Buffalo Sabres and overtime. That's going to talk about this all day, all night about the Montreal Canadiens. So you are the right spot if you like to talk about the Montreal Canadiens because that's what we're going to do for the next 2 hours talking about you, Bleu Blanc Rouge. And a notebook without them, it's impossible because they are the star of the show. They are sitting in the green room and they are ready to talk about the Montreal Canadiens and they are from Toronto and from Hawkesbury. Back in the house, Marco Larabie and Mr. Enartap are in the house tonight.
Hello, Coach. Hello, Marco. What a day. What a day.
Good
Another
evening,
great day
gentlemen.
hockey.
Coach, great decision to move the show to Tuesday. Did
Yeah,
you coordinate with Mr. Kent
And
Hughes?
Hughes,
I figured out
we,
everything. That's the reason we are late. I was talking about Jake with Jake Evans so before the show
Yeah,
starts. So I was a little bit busy
thanks.
about that. So I apologize for the delay tonight. But now we look like we are set up. We have some kind of internet problem before we start. So we are holding this a little bit longer before we start the show. So we apologize for that. But Marco, you're right. A lot of great happening again for the Montreal Canadiens. A lot of good news for the Montreal Canadiens, first of all, but also um, it's not over yet. We still have a missing what Friday? 3 more days now? Is it 3 more? I'm confusing with all the
three
days
more.
we have,
Yeah.
but 3 4 days and before the end of the trade deadline for the Montreal Canadiens and all the team in the NHL, I expect a little bit more some news around the NHL the next couple of days, so a couple of trades. And before we do the headline, before we talk about NHL news, before we do anything, we're going to go straight there because I think the people want to hear that. The Montreal Canadiens get that deal today. They signed Jake Evans for a 4 year deal at $2.85 million AAV per year, and he has 12 goals, 16 assists, 28 points. So your first impression about that deal, Marco?
Well, I think like most people, I was very, very pleasantly surprised at the number for sure. Like I think at the very least, we thought it was going to come out over 3 million. Like I think a lot of us were more in the 3.5 million. But yeah, like so from the reports that we're hearing, Coach, like it looks like negotiations had been off for a little while, and then on Sunday they started talking again. And from what we're hearing, like Kent Hughes and Montreal didn't really move off their original position, and it really just came down to Jake Evans really deciding that he wanted to stay. So I'll leave some meat on the bone for Entertap there, but that's it says a lot about kind of where Montreal is at with the culture and wanting being a place to want to play. But this is great news. Like for Coach and Entertop, we've been talking about this since the summer. You know, yes, there's a lot of like good young players coming up, but if Montreal really, really wants to, not only kind of stay where they are this year, next year, and but even progress next year. I think it was really important for them to come back with at least Evans or Dvorak. Having two young bottom six centers, I don't think I think they would have probably taken a step back. So
Yeah.
this is great news. Really solidifies their penalty kill. Their whether it's you have them consider them the third line or the fourth line. Now the question turns to Armia, and is Montreal going to be able to lock in that what is a great line for Montreal, like Evans, Armia, and Heineman together? The question is like, how much value is there in Armia now, so that you can really lock down that line? But Entertap, like, were you as surprised as I was? Like, it's kind of like Christmas, right? Like, pretty good
Yeah,
news.
I'm not going to go too much in depth because it has to do with my headline as well. But absolutely, I was shocked. I'll be honest with you. I agree with you 100%. I did not think it would come under 3 million. I thought 3 million was pushing it in terms of in favor of Montreal. But I think you nailed it when you were speaking about where the heart is, and where he sees the team and the direction that they're going, and he wants to be a part of that.
Yeah. For the people in the chat, Mr. Charles is in the house. Welcome back, Charles. Thanks to be with us from Scotland. Luc is already active in the chat with me. Luc Lafortune. Abination back in the house. Sebastian. Steven also is in the house. Born to be Ab. Welcome back, my friend. Thanks to be with us. RJ Calabou knocked the door. RJ will be busy. 10 game in action tonight. It was already mentioned. Look like Detroit losing. Good news. Look like Boston losing. Another bad news. Good news. The Columbus losing. That's getting better news. The Flame winning. That's amazing to see those news coming up. And then the Buffalo 1-1. But also, Islanders winning 2-0. Not good about that. But it look like good to hear all the team are losing. Sendeman is in the house. Welcome back also. Billy is in the house. Claude Richard is in the house. Bush from Vermont is in the house. I think I see all of you. If I miss some of you guys, I apologize. But what a great deal for the Montreal Canadiens with Jake Evans. Pete Martin, welcome back here. Look, we was off. Well, we was not. No, we was off. I think we said $3 million was reasonable to get Jake Evans. 3-4 years was also the number we're looking for the number of the years. And at the end of the day, to go under $3 million, that signature is really can use behind that. And
Super Chat.
we have a super chat from Pizza. At 7:10, Pizza did the first goal. The first goal tonight, and Daryl come back with a great super chat. So we're going to do a double super chat, a 2 goal in the space of 10 seconds. Mr. Nartap and Marco. So here we go. He did it again. Again did it, and of course Darrell did that. So thanks so much about this, Monsieur Croteau. Welcome in the house. First time, Monsieur. We welcome you. Bienvenue dans la famille du hockey des nations, Habs Nation. Pete Martin, welcome back. Mac Elliott knocked the door, and RJ Clabo also. So thanks everybody. But again, finish my Jake Evans situation, guys. This is satisfied a bit the line of the center, and like you said, that would shaker them, and also it. I don't know, Marco, you said that, like, is reasonable with his money at 2.85 to maybe get trade after 1 or 2 years. Then after that, at 2.85 if compared to $4 million. And I think that kind of number, $4 million, like Eric Bélanger said today, said, which team will be willing to give him a $4 million at the end of the day? I think the agent makes some kind of homework around the league and realize maybe not you're going to get that kind of number. For 3.2 example, you can get, or 3.5, Marco, and to go somewhere else when you already been there with that team for say you will grow. I think he played with Notre Dame and NCA, if I can record it properly.
Yeah.
Right?
So, I think it was there for 3 years.
Yeah.
He was the captain. He was the captain there.
So he was drafted in Montreal 7th round, and he grew under that organization. And look, I think this is a good deal for both parties at the end of the day. And like I said, I think after 2-3 years, you can make a Jake Evans on the table if you have to trade him. One of the new players coming from Owen Beck, Kapanen, Jekai, Thorpe, or whatever who they are. So I think it's good overall. So if you want to add something else before we move on the headlines of the night.
Let's move on.
I think Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, let's save some for Entertap's headline then. Yeah, okay.
So we want to thank Darrell. We have a few people knock the door. We have also N26 is in the house tonight. Welcome back. And then we have Darrell with his shot shawl, and I have someone else pop up at the last. Pete Martin is in the house tonight, so welcome back, Pete Martin. And Mathieu Coteau and Marc Elliott also in the house. So all of you guys, thanks so much to be a part of the show tonight. Like we do every time we start the show at the Notebook with Mr. Marco Larabé, we do the headlines, three different headlines from the panel. And we're going to start with Marco tonight. And Marco, go with
Mr. Nick Suzuki carrying the team. So I borrowed a little bit of help from AI to make this. So it's not actually Nick Suzuki. It's kind of like a weird AI version of Nick Suzuki carrying all the sticks and all the equipment and all the worries and hopes of the fans on his back. Like that's a lot to carry on your back. But yeah, so just a way, guys, to kind of listen. We've at moments been a little bit critical at times. Like Nick Suzuki, maybe a bit of his consistency at the beginning of the year. Maybe we know that PLW sometimes he'll be a little bit critical that he doesn't play as hard in the corners, or he can play a whole game without breaking an egg. But listen, there's no question since the break, he's probably the best and hottest player in the NHL right now. I think correct me if I'm wrong, he's got 13 points in 5 games or something since the break, or something like that.
Got it. 13 points.
Yeah. So and on top of that, guys, it's not just the performance on the ice, but to me, it's the way that he's kind of comporting himself in the media, and also kind of just since the golf tournament, guys, he said it, he's the one that really, really set the tone for the season, and not being satisfied just to kind of be in the mix, but he's been the first star of I think the last 3 games at the Bell Center. And he makes a point every time when he's being interviewed by Mark Denis when he's signing the Lens to say, no, yeah, this is great. We really want to make the playoffs. He's not shy saying it, right? He's not only just carrying them on the ice in terms of performance, but really it sounds like he's really kind of pushing the goalpost, right? And really kind of anchoring the team and really getting them focused, eyes on the prize kind of thing, right? So I've just been really impressed with him. The first line altogether has been really good. Really, really great game by Caulfield last game as well too. One of the most physical games that I've seen him play in a long time. But yeah, I thought it was just time to give the captain his due. We were having a debate in the chat a couple days ago or last week about who's the MVP. It's still a tough call between him and Hudson, but he's definitely kind of with how he's been playing. It's hard to argue. It's hard to make an argument against him for being the MVP so far this season. So just wanted to give the captain his due, and just a fun time to use some AI. And if you took off Suzuki's gloves, you can see he has 8 fingers instead of 5. But overall, I think I did a good job with the AI. Yeah.
Well done,
pretty
Marco.
good.
Well done.
If you think about this, Marco, 99% people right now doesn't look at Suzuki, look at the bag. So if you don't mention that, I'll be honest with you, I don't think so. I think it's not Suzuki at all. Because every time I see the bag, I'm just thinking about what kind of stuff is inside the bag. Is it popcorn or is it whatever it is? But
it's a year's it's a year's supply of cheese.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Where they were in Buffalo too, so because of the tariffs, maybe he brought a whole bunch of stuff from the U.S. to avoid the tariffs. I don't know.
Oh goodness, let's not
go there. Now to Mr. Enartap. Here we go.
Oui, les magiciens, as I called it here, and it's basically just I wanted to re-emphasize what we were talking about earlier. I thought this was a fantastic deal by both Hughes and Gordon to maintain Evans. Marco, you said a long time ago, it's not a bad idea to bring back one of Dvorak or Evans. And now that they have Evans and they've secured him for 4 years, and coach, I agree with you. I think it's a very tradable contract in the event that, that's not their intent, but in the event that they have to move him for whatever reason, in after a couple years, it's easy to move around. But now that they have Evans, Marco, maybe now that means Dvorak is they could explore possibilities with that. Again, I don't know what they would get right now. We're all just guessing. But the only thing I'll say in addition to this, it seems like the trend here for the Habs, at least the young players, is like the players are. It's continuing, and it's that you see the players they're opting out of or opting into signing at a certain level. They're establishing what that level is, like kind of like the Boston Bruins have done for many many years, and what it's doing is it's creating the proper culture, right? It's sort of saying we see what's going on here. We like the direction that the team is going. We feel like we're a part of that team. So it speaks volumes to, really their culture that exists and how not only it was created, but how it's been perpetuated throughout. Like the way Hughes has really comported himself with the players, always being pretty much straightforward, honest, and transparent about what's going on. And I'm sure he did here with Evans as well. But it's building that culture that we've always talked about. And I think before anything else, before the superstars come along, before the winning comes along, it's the number one thing you have to build. It's that trust, that culture, that familial atmosphere that they feel like, going to practice is fun. Playing the game is exciting. Being involved in tight games like they are right now in while they're in the mix is something that they'll learn from and grow from. And so I got to give kudos to Hughes and Gordon as well. They're my limitations.
There you go. Marco.
Excellent pronunciation, Mr. Ennertap. Very
Ah,
impressive for a guy from
merci.
Toronto. A guy from Toronto,
Tirana.
Ontario. It's not bad. No, I
Thank
think
you.
it's all good points for sure. Coach, excellent choice of a photo with Kent Hughes with his maniacal, evil, evil genius laugh guy. Very well done. But
That was my
no,
selection.
oh, okay, yeah, great selection, Ernest, for sure. So I think the key word I think is flexibility, right? Like so, it's kind of having your cake and eating it too, right? Because you get to keep the player, you get to reward the team and maintain kind of where you are right now, but you're not really kind of putting yourself in an awkward position like we've been talking about, like in 2 years from now, if you need to move this, like other than just the money, there's no trade protection either, which is really, really important
Yeah,
flexibility to
surprised
have,
me.
right? Yeah. So I think I'm with you 100% in our tap on the culture piece. Like, if you really think about it, one of the advantages that Montreal has over some of the other teams maybe is, it's the consistency of the lineup, right? Like, say what you want, like Montreal has been rebuilding, but there's a lot of consistency in their lineup over the last 3 years, right? There hasn't been that much turnover in their roster. And I think that's good. Like, it's good to have some continuity. You don't want things to get too stale. You don't want it to be kind of like like a country club, But really, you look at it. There's really only four guys left from the team that made it to the finals, right? You've got Suzuki, Caulfield,
Gallagher
Gallagher, and Evans, right? So
and Evans.
you know,
Yeah.
now again, this is a far cry from the pass the torch from Ken Dryden to Patrick Waugh. Like, obviously it's not the same tradition that's being passed on. The torch is a little dimly lit compared to what the torch used to be, in terms of the tradition being passed on. But at the end of the day, these are still four players that are carrying on. We'll call it the Shea Weber tradition, right? Like, Shea Weber brought in that, a winning, kind of like a professional culture onto the team. So, you have Suzuki, Caulfield, and Corey Perry was an important piece to that as well, going to the final. So Evans is an important, like, one thing we don't talk about with Evans, guys, is his leadership, right? Like, I think he's taking more and more of a leadership role on the team as well. So very good. The only thing, like I said, the only question now, guys, is what about Armia? Like, it would be nice to kind of put
Yeah.
together that line for the next 2-3 years. But I'll pose a question to you guys as a ping pong question here. Like, I don't think you
Yeah.
can give Armia 4 years, right? Because he's a little bit older, and if you lock up Armia for 3 to 4 years, now you're really starting to block out some spaces for some of those young players to come up. But I would not be against Montreal
Indeed.
extending Armia for 2 years. But 2 years, I think, would probably, unless there's as much flexibility in that deal than there is with this one. But I think Armia might be willing to give the same kind of discount because we know Armia's had a difficult time mentally. He's in a good place right now. So I suspect he probably wants to stay in Montreal as well. So it's potential that Hughes can maybe get a good discount there. But curious to see what you think in
Well,
terms of Armia.
Marco, well, in terms of flexibility, you bring up an excellent point because if you look at what Armia and Evans are currently making, and you take that sum, and you look at now what Evans got, and you know that in Armia's case, he'll probably be willing to take a cut from what he was making. I mean, he would have to if he wanted to stay with Montreal and for 2 years. I mean, the two sums are not that far off. We're talking maybe at most $1 million at most, and you're maintaining the core of their penalty kill. They bring different things to the game, both of them, but together they
Yeah.
work very well.
Yeah. I think if you could bring Armia in at around the same number as
Yeah,
Evans, then I think
that
you'd be
would
in
be
good shape. But
fantastic.
again, it's the term. So as long as the term is not too long and he maintains his flexibility so that he can move it out, because I foresee that Montreal would probably want to move out Armia before they move out Evans, right? To open up a spot for like a Tuck or a Jackeye or a Thorpe or somebody like that eventually, right? But I see some people saying it's time to move on from Armia. But guys, like again, like they're literally probably the best penalty kill duo in the NHL. They're the two forwards that play the most on the penalty kill. And you have this great chemistry with this line with Heineman, Armia, and Evans, right? So if they have the
Yeah.
opportunity to extend that, I think you have to explore it, but not at all costs, right? Like again, like I think the Evans is the far more strategic and more important signing because he's the center. But we'll see kind of where it goes with Armia.
But if you keep Armia, keep Jake Evans, what do you put Demidov?
Well, I think in that case, like and then you have to think probably one of Gallagher or Anderson would have to move to really make that happen because, and not only that, like I think we all want Montreal to get a second line center, right? So either you have to move Doc, Anderson, or Gallagher to really make that happen. But again, I'm flexible to kind of how that would work, but at the end of the day, Demidov's going to come in for sure. That's going to take a roster spot. I think for sure they have to get a second line center. So hopefully that's another spot that's gone. So you're looking at least two roster spots here that would need to be cleared up for that to happen.
What happened with
Right.
Owen Beck or
I think
Kapanen?
he takes Dvorak's spot. I
Wow.
think next year.
But the other thing it does is it really gives you good trading chips if you need it, right? In order to get that 2C, you might have to package sometimes. Again, I'm not suggesting this, but it could be a Kapanen, it could be, a Mayu, it could be Farrell if he continues to do well. Like they bring value to what you're trying to achieve, and so we said it before numerous times. Like you're not going to be able to keep all these players, right? That's the key, and it's fluent in the sense that you have to determine on the go where your needs are and try to address them. And sometimes that doesn't fit exactly the way you initially intended the development to go. But it's nice to have those options. It's nice to have the assets. Now they have to manage them properly.
All right, let's move on for mine. I'm going to shocking everybody because I knew you're going to go that direction already. So I said, let's make something interesting. Buyer, not seller. Well, Canadiens have a chance right now to make the playoff. They have the chance to get a second center in NHL. Why to wait in July and August to get a players could help you right now. And to make the team, he's going to be there for a couple of years with the Montreal. I'm not talking a rental player. I'm talking about a player is going to be with the Montreal Canadiens at transition to long term with the Montreal Canadiens. I think the window is there. I think that will give a boost inside the fans, the players, the coaches. I think it would be more positive at negative, and that would give a better opportunity for Montreal to maybe very close to make the playoff and look like tonight at Limway, you can see many teams. Nobody won the eighth spot. And I think that we can fix the
Or the
second
seventh.
problem. So the card is right there for the Montreal Canadiens. And I think I would not be, if I was can use, wait in July. I want not to give that right now. I think it could be another way to go that direction. Again, I'm not talking about a rental player for the rest of the season, and then you gave something big and for that. But a player like I don't want to name a name because you would tell me, not this guy. He should be another guy. You know what I mean? So, but the point behind that. So, how you feel about that? Enough that.
You're talking. I see exactly where you're going with this, coach, and you're talking about a stopgap, perhaps for 2 or 3 years max. Somebody that has that much left on their contract and is sort of taking either a wing position or more favorably probably a 2C position if they're that type of player, and giving the opportunity for players to develop properly, and then referring to guys like Hage that are on their way up. And it also, what it does is it gives a good centerman to Demidov, who's coming up next year, and he's going to need that. So I think it's a good idea. Question is, who's willing to give up what, and what do they want in return? That's the real dilemma here.
Yeah, I understand that, and you know what I mean. I just said like my point behind that is not way to do it,
Yeah.
but you're right. We gave what you don't give, everything like that, and we'll see. But Marco,
Well,
how
no,
you feel about that? Are you be more
well,
patient and not allow?
no, coach. I think not only is this just like your idea, but I think this is what they're doing, right? Like all the reports that we're hearing is that Kent Hughes, like he's looking to take a swing. There's no question about that. Like you said, I don't think they're going to spend assets for a rental, but he's right now at this very moment looking for somebody that can come help the team, like whether it's a stopgap or if it's somebody that can be a core piece, right? Like that's exactly what he's looking for. So there's obviously some suggestions in the chat, like all I can say, guys, is if he goes for that swing, be prepared for the price. It's going to be it's one of your
It'll be
favorite
steep.
players, one of your favorite prospects is going to be included in that deal, right? So it's not going to be cheap. Like if you're like I think everybody knows, and a lot of people just in the chat have said like a Mason McTavish. Like there's a lot of players that are not available that we would want, but if they're going to go get like say a young center that's going to fit in perfectly, that's going to be very expensive. Another name like that we looked at, and I saw that Nicholas brought it up again, is Raquel, right? So somebody that's a player that's available right now. He's a right shot as well, though. There's a lot of right shots. I know he's played a little bit of center.
Again,
I think Montreal
I'll,
really needs a left-hand shot, guys. Like,
I'll go back to the guy I said the other night, Marco. I think Jarrett McCann would be a great fit. He's got size. He's a left-hand shooter. He can play the wing. He can play center. He's done both. And you know what? He's going to get you, 45 to 55 points a year. And his contract ends in 2026. So it's perfect timing. And I think he can be had because if anything, Seattle is looking for a solid defenseman, right? And maybe they're looking for youth, but a good prospect to go along with. I mean, there'll be maybe a pick will have to be thrown in there as well if you go with that idea. But there's some good choices out there. Like I would love a Dylan Cousins.
Nah,
no, there
so
are.
that's another.
What I mean by that is there's good choices, but they're not willing to give them away.
Well, there's just not good guys. Like, there's 32 teams, and like I think it was in the chat the other in our group chat. We were kind of going through some names, and you just go through the NHL. There's just not a lot of good centers. Like, there's just not a lot. So my only concern about Jared McCann is, like, I know he's more established than Kirby Doc is, right? But do we want somebody like, I don't know, what can he win faceoffs? Like, I don't want to go get another guy who maybe can play center. Like, if they're going to go out and spend assets, I want somebody that is a center. Like, we know he's a center. It's not a Galchenyuk debate. It's not a Kirby Doc debate, whether he's a winger or like, I like Jared McCann, but I would want to know a little bit more about how comfortable he is playing center. I haven't had the opportunity to go look at his face-off numbers in the last couple of years and all that, but so again, that would be my only thing is I want somebody that will for sure play center. He's got to be a left-hand shot. He's got to fit, the criteria that we're looking for in terms of not being a rental, not somebody that's going to kind of blow up everything. So there's not a lot of options though, guys. Like I said, like especially UFA, there's not much at all. Really the only option other than kind of a UFA or a trade is you're trying to find like maybe teams that have like a blue chip kind of center that's like I've brought his name up a bunch of times, Dvorsky in St. Louis, like a kind of guy like that's almost ready to come into the NHL, and you're looking for the right trading partner that maybe has too much depth at center, and they're looking for what Montreal has in terms of having more assets. So it's finding the right trading partner, but it's not going to be easy.
It's not easy.
Centers.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the story of our lives. Finding a center in Montreal is still haven't, other than Suzuki, still haven't done it.
Exactly.
Still haven't done it.
Actually, Coach and Marco, one thing I read today that I found shocking, actually, until I really started to think about it. This is the third year in a row that Suzuki has gotten 60 plus points in a year. And what I read was that no Montreal Canadiens center has ever done that in the history of Montreal.
Has never what?
Has never done that. 3 years in a row of 60 plus points. I was shocked when I heard it. I mean, I have to look it up.
Yeah.
Maybe we are on or I left them. I don't know if we are still live. Yeah, A2, I agree with you. About beat mileage. Look like they are gone. We'll be waiting when they come back. We have some kind of problem internet right now, so hopefully they will be back with us in the next couple of minutes. But I'm not sure about that. Maybe he was wrong in our tap, and then they kick him out. I don't know, E2. The cheese last night was pretty good. I'm trying to get better, guys. I tried to get a little bit in my life, a little bit more structure. I go to the I was saying go to the beach. I go to the massage for the last 2 days. So we're going to see back and forth. They all be back. Mr. Nartap and Mr. Marco, they are back in the room. I tried to bring back right here in the chat. And they are back.
Coach didn't like that topic.
I don't know. Maybe not me. Maybe the fans they step up and they put
the ghost.
Out
the ghost of the forum didn't like that one.
Well, I don't know. I look like we did not disappear here. It's only both of you disappear. So we have a red button beside me, and then I can put them out anytime. So about that one over there. So welcome back, Joe Manella, by the way. But yeah, we'll be interested what happening with the Montreal Canadiens for that. I think we have a good conversation. And Nashville come back with another goal. Late again, 4-3 against the Boston Bruins after they tied the game 3-3. So a couple of games around the NHL, guys. We're going to see that. Before we move on, we just talk about Jake Evan or headlines. We have one news for NHL today. Not that one, but it was this one. The trade Edmonton, Boston, New Jersey. But honestly, the name is Trent Frederic. And Marco, what do you feel about that trade?
Well, I think it's a good move for Edmonton, right? Like, obviously he's injured right now, and kind of questionable to kind of whether he's going to actually play in the regular season here, but it's exactly kind of what Edmonton needs, right? Like they need a little bit more kind of sandpaper in their lineup. Kent Frederick, he can absolutely come in, play in your middle six. He's versatile. He can play in the center, can play wing. Last year I think he had 18 goals. A little bit like a lot of Boston players, seen his offensive production kind of go down this year, but really nice pickup by them. Like the price is not exuberant, like it's still a second round pick plus for a player like Frederick, but I think it's a good move for them. Like Edmonton, they've been absolutely stinky since the Four Nations face off. They've come out of the break and not look good at all. So I think this is a good move. They still need to move some pieces around here. There's just something a little bit off with this lineup, coach, for me, heading into the playoffs here. I'm not sure it's the same quality of lineup as last year. They lost some important pieces on the back end as well. So I like it for Edmonton. For Boston, I guess, I wouldn't. Like, are you curious, guys, as to, do you think they're patient enough? I guess it doesn't help that he's injured, but I wonder if they waited a little bit more, they could have got a bit more. Because they're especially with Evans out of the market now. Like you wonder if the market's going to kind of really look for more players like this. But I think it's a good move for Edmonton.
Now, before that, GF, he asked about Frederic out until end of the season.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Looks that way. Yeah.
They'll put him on the LTIR. A certain number of days and games have to go by before it's official there. But it's not a bad move. Like I agree with you, Marco. I think for Edmonton, it gives them a little bit more truculence, right? He's a solid player that brings a lot to the game, and he's the kind of player they need in the playoffs, I believe. And by him going on the LTIR till the end of the year, it still leaves them cap space to actively seek a defenseman, which I think they have to go after. But without a doubt, those two moves over the summer, those contracts that they lost to Dylan Holloway and Broberg, has really hurt them.
Holloway, guys, like you know how much I was targeting him last year, but man, as he turned out to be a player for St. Louis, like what a deal. And that's another thing, guys. When we were talking about potential moves Montreal could make, like that's another thing this summer, right? Like offer sheets. Are offer sheets going to be a thing again? I don't know if we'll ever see what we saw happen with St. Louis, because with the salary cap going up, you're going to have less teams that are completely screwed on the salary cap, right? So it's kind of like St. Louis was kind of like lightning striking, right? Like they were just picked the right timing to target those two players, but I don't know. It should be interesting to see.
Some quick information. Islanders announced they're going to be a seller, and they're looking to maybe trade Nelson and Palmieri for them. New Jersey injuries, guys. Marchand is going to be now week to week for his injury. And today, Columbus announced that Chinakov is activated with the team, but not good enough. They're losing right now 4-2 for that information. Before we move on, we're going to talk about the game happening yesterday. Montreal beat the Buffalo Sabres by the score of 4-3. I'm going to do a quick recap of the game from Marco and Artap. And just give you an idea, guys. Montreal, Caulfield, 30 of the year, Suzuki 19, Sakeski 11, Madison's 5th. Hudson 2 assists, and Suzuki 13 points the last 5 games, 24 points in the last 5 games for Sakeski, Caulfield, and Suzuki. And Montreal for the first time, 5W this season. And I think you have to go all the way to at the beginning of Martin St. Louis in 2022 to see 5W for the Montreal Canadiens. So really impressive what the Montreal Canadiens accomplished in the return of the Four Nations. And now we're going to see about what you're thinking about that. So we're going to start with, I don't know, which one of you want to start about this? Going to see the goal of the Montreal Canadiens happening yesterday at the same time.
You want me to start, Marco, since you can finish it off with that last point?
Sure,
I mean, It's great, and of course, you're going to collect the points that you can along the way. I didn't think yesterday in particular, nor the previous Buffalo game were great games. I thought Montreal had a fantastic first period, and the second and third, I thought they were back on their heels. If it weren't for Montebo, that really made a couple of key saves in high danger areas, I think Montreal could have been looking at a different result. But we'll take the 2 points. I thought there were, a good number of players that had a decent game, but the other ones were most of the other players. I didn't think that they played to expectations. They really have to learn how to play with a lead, and they're getting better at it. That's the good news, but that's all part of that development that we spoke of so much in the past. So I'll leave it at that and leave Marco some leeway here to go with it.
Yeah, so I think you're right. Like the first period, pretty good. Like really, to me, the key parts of the game are the power play. So Montreal's power play clicking in the first period, and then really goaltending. Right, like Reimer, was Reimer-ish. The couple goals that he probably would like back, especially the one in overtime. I guess to me, the big debate from last night, or question for me, is was it Buffalo that was just playing so well the second, third period, or was it just Montreal kind of not being tight in their zone? Or because if you look at their turnovers and if you look at kind of overall how they were doing, Montreal, they weren't like feeding Buffalo's offense that much. I think St. Louis talked about it in his presser that when they were losing 3-0, Buffalo came in, and when a team is down, they're just going to play with more risks. Montreal stayed patient. They were playing their game, but Buffalo, not like what's a dangerous team, guys, is a team that is taking chances but then executes, and that's what Martin St. Louis was talking about yesterday. Because if Buffalo was taking all those chances but didn't execute on some of those passes, could easily have turned into counterattacks for Montreal and like kind of odd man rushes going the other way. But they were just really good with their execution, Buffalo. Like some of the passing, like they were Harlem Globetrottering it up in the Montreal zone at times. So it was hard to tell if it was Montreal that was playing bad, or was it just Buffalo that just was really, really not only executing well, but they had a mindset of attacking and just taking some extra chances because they were behind. So overall, to me, the thing that sticks out is you got Caulfield that gets his 30th goal, and again Suzuki, kind of really leading the charge there, and the power play. So the power play has been really hot for Montreal. I think they've scored in the last 5 games. I think they're up to like 6 goals or something like that. So what I want to finish with, so Coach, you point out here that Montreal, it's the first time they've won 5 games since 2022, I think, which is Martin St. Louis' first year. And we're all excited about that. We've been very positive this whole episode, right? We've been talking about Jake Evans. We've been talking about how it's great. Montreal's in the mix, and this is a great sign and vote of confidence from the management team. And, I agree. That's definitely where we're at. However, the last time we saw this, like, remember Montreal's last winning streak, like in January, we saw the last 2 games towards the end. They were winning games they shouldn't have won, right?
One of them, Tampa Bay Lightning, I believe, 3-2 at the Bell Center.
Yeah.
After that, they follow up with a 1-7-1.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the way that I look at it like this is like this, guys. When you're in a losing streak, towards the end of your losing streak, you lose games you should have won because it's just you're in that mindset, right? And when you're on a winning streak, towards the end of your winning streak, you win games that you shouldn't have won. It's just kind of like a momentum thing. So if you look at the last 5 games, it's great that Montreal has won those, but let's take a peek back at those 5 games just so that we can be fair, right? We want to be balanced with how we look.
Yeah, they had
so Montreal,
Ottawa
comes
first.
out of the break. They come out of the break. They play Ottawa. So good game. Like I think we all agree, like they played a really solid game, but they were missing Norris, they were missing Pinto, and they were missing Kachuk. So a little bit of an asterisk on that game. Then the next game they're playing Carolina, I believe. So Carolina, on paper, again, that's a good team. It's one of the top teams in the East. But again, Carolina was also struggling out of the break. Rantanen, the whole question around him. He's not been producing. Aho had a terrible Fourth Nations. And again, Carolina just didn't really look like themselves that game. And then you get into San Jose and Buffalo back to back. So San Jose, even though obviously they played Ottawa well, I think before that they brought Tampa, I think, to overtime as well too. So San Jose had been playing some tight games, and they beat Toronto last night, which is cool. But then Buffalo too, right? So guys, I just have to say, like, it's a 5-game winning streak, but we just want to have a little bit of kind of balance and say, let's see how these next games go here, right? Like, these are going to be some tougher games. They're going out west next to play Edmonton and Calgary. So, maybe it's good timing, guys, that they go on the road just to kind of switch things up, keep them on their toes a little bit. I think it's good timing. But I just wanted to say, like, it's good that there's a 5-game winning streak, but there's certain things that we're seeing in their game that we want to make sure that they're playing closer to what we saw them play in that Ottawa game. That was probably their best game out of all of them, to be honest, even though Ottawa was short. I think that was their most complete game out of all of them, to be honest. Again, even though with Carolina, they shut them out.
Carolina
I still
was good.
think
Yeah.
Carolina was pretty good too. So I think we need to get closer to those two games than what we saw against San Jose and Buffalo, to be honest.
I think you're right. Like this road trip now, Marco, out to Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, and Seattle. I think that will tell the direction they'll go the rest of the year, I think, and how long they'll stay in this mix.
Yeah, it might be.
All right. So that's what we have to say, Marco, about the 5W, right?
Yes, sir.
On the flip
But
side,
we'll take the point.
no, but
Yeah.
on the flip side, right, Marco, if you are the hockey player now, like, AJ Evans and Josh Anderson and everyone, right? They know they not play at their best, but I think it's a positive go on the road and thinking, you know what? Now we go through that, and those games are really des games de pierre. C'est quoi en anglais, Marco? C'est des games de trap game, right? So it's a must to win. You cannot lose those games if you want to stay in the chat, right? So we'll put Marco in the trap, Mr. we got him.
Put him in a timeout.
He's right now out of the game again. I don't know. My red button is hot tonight, Mr. Tap. It's hit quickly. Someone is disagree with me? Boom! Out. How about that? But
Yeah.
look, my point behind that, yes, Marco is right. Honestly, they not play well overall, but they find a way to get the W, right? They find a way to get at the end the outcome. Like Marco said, Martin said yesterday, Marco, we got the job done. We got the 2 point, but it was not a pretty game at the end of the day. But I think Montreal had that kind of push him in the wing. Gallagher is father. Anderson, his wife, is pregnant. We have now Evan with a new contract. Devorak Armia got the news from Jeff Gordon, and Kenyon is not going to go nowhere until the end of the season. So you have a lot of things around the team already more positive around that. And I think if Montreal can get out of that trip with a 500, I think Montreal will be in the mix again. And then after that, they can readjust for the rest of the season. But like you said in our tap, this is a huge road trip for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
And take advantage, Marco, of what's going on the standing tonight, right? On the outcome of those games. Obviously, they are not in the control of their destination because they not play a lot of game. Again, the team are in front of them. Only 8 games, Marco. 7 now with the Buffalo yesterday. So
yeah.
I think the key ones are against. So you have Ottawa, you have Detroit, and you have Boston left on the teams that you're battling with, and that's it. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
me, like you wish you have a little bit more so you can get those 4 points at the end. But still, I think for me that's a very important point you bring on the table, Marco, about the 5W. And you can see it's happening like a month ago when they get after that a 171. But that came also with you know, the
Energy
element
levels were
injury after that, right?
Mhm.
And then you get a fall apart after that. So it would be what International Montreal is going to do.
Well,
Uh,
the good thing also, coach, is the teams that they're in the mix with are going through similar situations, right? Now, some of them have incurred some injuries that are prolonged, and that'll affect them. I mean, the only team that's really been consistent through all of this is, I think, has been Columbus. Like, I think they're either 7-3 in their last 10 games, so that's and the Rangers as well. I think they're 7-3 as well. They've really climbed up now on top. But the other teams, it's like as soon as they get into a playoff spot, a wild card spot, they quickly fall off for whatever
yeah.
reason. Look at Detroit now. Yeah,
Well, yeah, and Ottawa too, but like we'll see what happens
and
with
Ottawa.
Ottawa now that they have those guys back. You know,
Yeah,
they're going to be a team to be reckoned with too, right? Now that all the guys are
Boston,
back.
Boston as well.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor about the fact like Henneman when he left the Mission Tap, every time Henneman leave the practice, the game, return of that, or he go out, the Montreal give him a credit card of a U-Bird, so he cannot to be on the street at any moment for the rest of the
No more
season.
walking.
So he cannot walking around. So they put him right there, or he drive with
Oh,
another players in the
two
team. So I
minutes
don't
for
know Marco
holding.
what's going on with Marco, but he looked
Back in
like
the
he's out again. So we're going to see him. Now is the time to end our tap out of the game about that. So I apologize that you're going to stuck with me. Look, you can come if you want to. I don't know what's going on, guys. I no clue what's going on, but it's
double major.
yes. They are right now, Mr. Natap. Do you know what's going on at Didi Garden?
The score, you mean?
No, but you know what's going on? Now the people leave the building and won the Nationals score an empty net. The Nationals beat the Boston Bruins 6-3.
3, yeah. And look at Tampa Bay. There's a team to reckon with because they beat they're close to beating a hot Columbus team by a score of 5-2. So far the
Right
score
about
they're
that.
looking.
And Carolina just beat Detroit to final 2-1.
Oh,
Oh,
nice,
holy
nice.
geez. Huge brawl here, Carolina at the end of the game in Detroit.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh, go to the Detroit game, coach, if you're not watching it. Looks
No,
like
not
I
watching
can't
it
see
there.
Is it bad?
Which
I don't know
channel
what
are you
happened with
watching, Marco?
so the Detroit and Carolina game, I'm seeing Raymond. Oh, Raymond got hurt at the end. He's lying on the ice. Stahl hit him. Looks like he hit him in the head. And then the game
Oh
ended,
wow.
and then Larkin went after Stahl. Like kind of 3 players went after Stahl.
So
It
Raymond
looks
is
like
on the ice right now.
yeah. Ooh, that would be so terrible for Detroit.
Catastrophic.
Yeah.
Catastrophic.
Ooh, big
Wow.
loss for
It looked
Detroit
like
there.
it's Marcinuk. Let's see what happened there, guys.
It was It was Jordan Stahl.
Well, Saul did
Oh,
nothing to him.
It looks like he hit him maybe in the head, but not directly to the head. Yeah,
wow.
interesting. Fireworks at the end there. Great results though for
Was
Montreal. Like you couldn't ask for a better
all
night for
around.
Montreal. Wow,
Yeah.
5-2 now. So Tampa's now winning 5-2. 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
But
Big day for Montreal.
what kind of the funky helmet they're wearing right now? It's like an
Oh, it's
astronaut
terrible.
Apollo
Yeah, I hate those.
1967.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
a
with
big
the
fan of
wing
those.
on the side, I hate those.
Yeah, it's good maybe for the stadium game, I guess, but it's weird that they're
Yeah,
using
not
those.
good. Yeah, I agree.
Wow. Quick, stood out obscure at the office and after that.
Okay.
Before you get
Stood out. I'm
ejected.
going to go with. Yeah, I know. I'll go with Nick Suzuki, not just based on the 4 points that he got yesterday, but everything Marco said earlier. Like he was a leader out there, and even after the game when they interviewed him and said, "You're really carrying the load of the team since the break," or he refused to take acknowledgement for that. He said, "No, we're all in it together, and I'm just doing my part." So uh, just for those things, I think that's exactly what you want from your captain. Played over 20 minutes. Obscure, I'm going to go with. I'll go with Slavkovsky. I still think since the Ottawa game, he's really been making it a point to get more involved, skate a little bit more. I know he's fallen back a couple times to some of his old habits, but I mean, he still continues to get the points. Yesterday, he got 2 more points. He led the team with hits yet again with 4. And I thought with a little bit of luck, he could have had maybe a couple more points as well. But no complaints there with him. And to the office, it's a tough one. Um, I didn't think Alex Carriere really had a great game yesterday. Like since he's been here, probably his least impressive game in my eyes. I thought that he sort of gave up the puck a few times in his own zone. Very uncharacteristic things of him, but we'll chalk it up to just one game uh, anomaly and just give him a little bit of a warning and direction to go for next game.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. You go Nick Suzuki for stood out. I think probably the last couple weeks, guys, or at least since the break. I think I'm gonna say Jordan. It's gonna go Jaden Struble again for my obscure because I think he's just been so solid playing with Lane Hudson, and just we don't talk about him very much. Like, okay, I'm gonna say I don't know if this is a hot take or whatever. Are we noticing Caden Gooley being away as much with Jaden Struble playing this well? I'm not saying Jaden Struble is a replacement for Caden Gooley long term, but he's playing so well right now that you're missing Caden Gooley less because he's been playing so solid alongside Lane Hudson, right? So just a little kudos. I think Jaden Struble has been really, really solid. Really simple plays, physical at times, moving the puck well, really nice little chemistry with Hudson. So just a little interesting point there. In terms of at the office, not again to kind of like to really kind of give him criticism or anything, but I would bring in Beck again, just make sure that he kind of has a little bit of feedback about how he's playing and just, have him in the office. We talked a little bit about this in the chat last night, Coach. You didn't seem to agree with me, but I feel like if you're going to have Beck there, it's tough for a player to really kind of make a mark on the game if they're only getting 5-on-5 minutes. I'd like to see him be on one of either of the specialty teams, like either it's on the second power play unit or on the second pair of forwards that go out to penalty kill, or just give him some job. Because I feel right now Beck doesn't have a specific role on the team other than just playing 5-on-5. So I think it would be helpful for him to feel a little bit more included in the team, because until they make a move here and get another center, it looks like he's going to be on the team and probably playing in this role. So I think you need to get him a little bit more involved in the game. So I would have him in the office, get a feel for how he's feeling. But otherwise, I don't think there's anybody like I said, I don't know if it's Montreal played bad in this 2-second periods. I just think Buffalo was playing really well and just pulling a lot of pressure and executing on them in the last couple of periods last night.
Yeah, I'm watching Calgary 5-3 right now. Look, Suzuki, we know already
6-3.
about that one there.
6-3 now, Coach.
What?
6-3 now, Calgary.
Calgary? Are they just going empty net?
Yeah.
Obscure, I have to go with Christian Dvorak again. I think Christian Dvorak had another good game yesterday.
He was good. Yeah.
It's not like perfect. Yesterday, I think all the three line, second line, third line, fourth line, they struggle a bit. But at the end of the night, Warwick have a good game. At the office, I have to go back with my friend Patrick Lenny. Just remind him, we on the race for the playoff. We need a bit more help about that. Whatever they have to go on power play. I think yesterday the first one was only the line was very good about that. But I know I'm going to
Did you guys?
surprise. But I would say to you, if ever you go by through the office, I think you should stop Abel Eneman a little bit and tell him, remember, now you have to step up. I think every time you have an injury, Marco in tap, after 4, 5, 6 games, you go on the, I don't know the injury.
Adrenaline, like you start off with a little bit of adrenaline, but then you kind of
Yeah,
down.
exactly.
Taper off.
It's
Yeah.
going to get see what I try to bring to you, but I think it would be good for him to get
Heineman
a
has
bit
been
more
playing
about
well.
that.
Heineman's been playing well, but like man, has he been missing the net a lot since he's
Yeah.
been come back? Like
Yeah,
a lot of missing the net. And just on line A, did you guys see the thing that was going around X? There was a picture of him just sitting on the bench, just looking like a total zombie. Like everybody was kind of talking to each other, and he's just like kind of like just
Oh,
sitting
that's
there.
normal. That's normal. That's normal for him.
Yeah.
All right, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it was one of the subjects tonight. Amir Devareg's about for a contract, yes or no. You don't have to go deep on each one of them, but I mentioned I will ask you one by one, guys. You tell me yes or no. And I will start with Marco. Joel Amir, do you offer him a contract?
Offer him a contract, 2 years. Like I said, 2 years, around the same money as Jake Evans. It's to me, it's kind of like a Kovacevic situation, coach. Like rather than just assuming a young player is going to come and take his place, you sign the player, and if somebody steals his job, great. If not, then at least you have that protection for next year. So I would go ahead and I would offer him a 2-year deal.
Marco, in after, do you sign Amir?
I agree with Marco. I think if it's just for a year or two and the price is right, you can do that. You don't want him here for the long run.
Devarek in after, do you sign him or not?
I think now that we signed Evans, he's very expendable. I'm going to go on the record to say he might be gone or will be gone at trade deadline time.
Well, I think I think they've already told him that he's not going to be traded. That's the rumor, anyway. So I don't know
if before the signing. Before the signing,
yeah, but you don't tell a player you're not going to get traded and then change your mind. Like even with Lehkonen, they said we don't think we're going to trade you, but you could. But it sounds as though they told him that they're not. So we'll see. But in terms of signing Dvorak, I think no. Now that you've signed Evans, I don't think that's going to be an option anymore. But they do need a left-handed center. Like you can't have all right-handed centers, guys, or it's going to be an issue for faceoffs moving forward. But obviously Dvorak is not going to play on your top two lines, and I think it looks like Beck is going to probably force his way here, into the lineup next year. As I feel more comfortable about that now that Evans is going to be there, right? So to me, I don't think it's going to happen.
Marco, Savard.
I would offer Savard a 1 year, kind of like he's at that stage in his career where, I think he just signs 1 year deals at a time and just kind of see how things go. So for me, as long as he understands what his role is, kind of like a Chris Weidman, seventh defenseman, good guy in the dressing room kind of thing. But I really think Reinbacher is going to make the lineup next year. I wouldn't even be surprised, if he plays like a game or two this season, if he continues to play super well. So, no. So I would offer him a deal, just a 1 year deal, as long as he's clear that he might not play all the games, or and kind of make sure that what his role is. But based on what we've seen, I think he would be down with that, right? But so yeah, I would do that.
I think he's happy there too as well. So maximum 1 year with the understanding that maybe they can transition him to some type of scout position or coaching position eventually with the team. I think that would make him extremely happy, and that's it. 1 year, because you got to start making room for the young kids to move up.
Yeah. Um, I'm, and I'm going to get some tomat and artap and Marco,
Tomatoes.
but I just answered that to A2, I believe. I think Simon Nemec, he looked like, he remind me Justin Barron about the development of both so far. When I'm talking that way, like Byron did not find his full development after 5, 6 years. Nemec, after 2, 3 years now, he's still battling to get a spot in NHL. He's up and down every year. For me, the same path like Justin Byron. And that said, is the same level of Justin Byron. I'm just talking about the development about that. So I want to be sure people understand that. It's not like I'm telling the Mech
That's
like Justin Byron. It's not what I said. So about
yeah,
that.
yeah. That's why you can't have enough defensemen. You never
Yeah.
know how long it'll take them to develop, and if they do.
So here's my deal about that. Amir Devorak, you keep one of them. That's it. Only one of them. Not more. A 2 years contract. 1 year would be better. That's it. That's all. I don't want to keep. If you want to keep both of them, Marco and Artep, I want to be sure one of the two have only 1 year contract, so I can trade him at the trade line if it's necessary. For Savard, guys, for the benefit of David Savard, I'm talking about the players. Retire would be the best thing for him. When I said that, it would be
He
working with
might.
the Montreal Canadiens for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
Now, for the
yeah.
Montreal Canadiens, look, I understand what I'm going to tell you guys, but David Rebecca is looking great with Laval. Like, looking great. You need a spot for him right now. You have already Alex Carrier there. Logan Mayu is getting better and better. He's getting close to being in his shot. I don't say he's going to make it, but he's close. I would love better to get a younger defenseman, Marco Inartap, faster and more mobile at David Savard at low price. I don't have to give you a name, but I'm talking about a scenario will be my suggestion for the Montreal next season. That would be the way I see that. Make sense? I don't know if you want to add something, Marco, about what I just
Yeah,
said.
like so. Listen, I think Reinbacher, like I said, I think Reinbacher will make the team next year. Mayu again, like let's hope he has a good playoff run and continues to his hockey sense needs to develop in his positioning. Yeah, we know Mayu has all the physical tools. It's just about kind of his reads. So, hopefully he continues to improve in that regard. So, again, similar to what I said about Armia, like to me, I would still just sign Savard as an insurance policy just in case one of those guys doesn't make it. But to me, coach, like if you go get another young guy, you're pretty much blocking a spot for Mayu eventually, right? So if you go out and get Juracek or Nemec or one of those kind of guys that you think is maybe going to play in your top four behind Reinbacher, because I think Reinbacher and Hudson, to me, that's like the perfect pairing. I think they're going to be really good together. So the question is, who's going to play with Gooley or Matheson? Guys, we still have the question about. Then we have too many left-handed defensemen, right? Like if you're putting another right-handed shot, where's Matheson playing? Because are you trading Gooley or Matheson? Because you still got Struble and Xhaka. You're not going to play Matheson or Gooley on your bottom pair, right? So there's got to be some maneuvering there. It leads to the question: what does Montreal do this summer with either Matheson or Gooley? That's
Right.
another question, right? So, I think the good news is Montreal has a lot of options. They have great assets still on the back end, and that's even before kind of they do the draft this year, right? So we'll have to see how it plays out. But I think we all agree, like, yeah, really encouraging what we're seeing with Reinbacher in Laval right now.
Good question about that. I have the story kept Montreal Canadiens, but I will move on for the next one. For that one, I want to give you a bit more information about the prospect for Montreal. Very quick news for Evan Demidov. Demidov today play for the team SKA. Finally, SK won today in overtime. Dimitrov on that one have an assist for Dimitrov. It was his 30 assists of the year and 48 point for Dimitrov. I'm just watching Dimitrov. Another great pass for him. If you watch number 71, guys, this is a Korat key. A 4-1 pick draft by the St. Louis Blues last season. And the reason I'm talking about him, guys, because he's only 19 years old, like Dimitrov. So it surprised me Rottenberg used both of them, and he used them all the way. Dimitrov played 21 minutes yesterday. Good game overall for Dimitrov. 3 shots on the net. He was involved, engaged. I really like his game. And after he got benched for a full game, he came back with a back-to-back game with an assist. So 2 points for Dimitrov the last 2 games. He's getting closer to get 50 points. We see 6 more games, I believe, or 7 more games for Dimitrov. They are going to play only March 8th, so I can sleep a little bit more tonight for those games for Dimitrov. But great performance, even Dimitrov. I want to talk about David Rebecca. Marco, you're going to add this with NRTAP. This was coming from Pascal Vincent for the Rocket Laval. I'm really very impressed. It's pretty rare I said that about a young defenseman. Pascal Vincent, talk about David Rebecca, play only 4 games under Pascal Vincent. So we start with Marco on that one. Then another tab you can follow up. I know, Marco, you follow Laval Rocket and another tab too, but Marco closely. So give us what you think about that statement for Pascal Vincent.
I think it's high praise, high praise from Pascal Vincent here for Reinbacher. And again, this is Pascal Vincent. It says a lot from him. Like, he's seen a lot of players. Like, he's got a lot of experience in the AHL, coached in the NHL quite a bit. So really, really good to hear that from Pascal Vincent. But I can't say I'm surprised, Coach. Like, even in the training camp, I still say that if Reinbacher wouldn't have got injured, I still think there's a shot that he might have made this team. Because I think coaches love a guy that they can put on the ice and they know exactly what they're going to get from him, right? I remember in the preseason, people are comparing him to Mayu, and especially with Hudson doing all his Hudson things on the ice. It's hard to, it's hard when you're comparing Reinbacher and Hudson. It's hard for your eyes not to divert directly to Hudson, right, and be impressed with what he's doing. But for those who really watch and study the game, there's a lot of the subtle things that Reinbacher does that are so important. And I think he's adapting really well in the AHL. Obviously, it's not perfect. There's still some positioning things. Some of his reads are still a little bit off. I find like the big thing with Reinbacher is his timing on pressuring at the defensive blue line. Sometimes he's a little over aggressive, pressuring at the, like, we want him to be aggressive, but sometimes he's a little over aggressive and puts himself in a tough spot. And some players will kind of chip the puck past him. But to me, like, that's just a thing that he'll adapt to. But I think that he's been really, really solid. And I think that at the end of the day, like, it's not going to be too long until we see him in Montreal.
Sorry.
Yeah, it hasn't been a huge sample size, but I think what he sees right now is the level that he can become, right? And what we mean by that is Reinbacher is very intelligent. Like, his passes are bang on. He's very defensively responsible. He creates space for himself too. Like, he's very good at that. I agree with you, Marco. He'd be a great partner with Hudson, and he's going to be the kind of defenseman that's going to eat up a lot of minutes in the course of a game, because he can be used in many different situations. Right now, we're not talking a lot about his offensive aspect of the game, but it's something that eventually we'll see that he can bring to the table. Besides the defensive component. So, yeah, things are looking good. Hopefully, he stays healthy and continues to improve, but good signs overall.
Good point about that. A lot of great comments left and right about this. I appreciate that for David Rebecca. I think Montreal is going to be great with David Rebecca. We're going to go to the clash right away, and then we're going to come back with more comments about Montreal Canadiens. So, if you don't mind to go to the clash, Mr. Marco and Artap. Um, it's not like he was the last one, honestly, but he still have a couple of good questions for everybody.
Yeah, I have to
Besides,
say, Coach, the last one that you did with Devin and Intertap, those were some doozies, man. Like I was on
Yeah,
my
they were tough.
I was sitting at the edge of my seat waiting for what they were going to say. So that was a really good one.
and the first one, Jake Evan deal. And Frank said an aubaine, Marco, for the Montreal Canadiens. Are you agree or disagree?
I think so. Like based on how much the cap is going to go up, like in terms of if you just look purely percentage of cap of what Evans contributes, I think it is a bargain. So for those of you who don't speak French, aubaine means bargain. So yeah, I think it is a bit of a bargain. Now again, like I saw some of our other Habs podcast friends calling it like Kent Hughes fleecing, like, or like like again, I don't think Evans was fleeced. I think it's a fair contract. I think it's a good deal for both sides. Evans wanted to be here in Montreal, but I think it is a good bargain, right? It's good value for Montreal with what he brings to the team for sure.
The Ducks winning 4-1.
I know.
The Ducks are on
over
fire.
Edmonton.
Like the
Good
Ducks,
team.
watch out. They are like, don't be like, if you're the Ducks, just as we're on that topic, guys, if you're the Ducks, aren't you the best trading? If Carolina does want to move Rantanen, wouldn't they be the perfect trade partner for Carolina? Because they could Carolina could get a good young asset back from Anaheim, and Anaheim could add a really explosive, more experienced forward to that group. I think that would be interesting to see. But I love watching Anaheim. They are fun to watch.
A perfect night for the Montreal Canadiens tonight. It's crazy.
Can't ask for
Perfect.
Not only one team win, like
not one.
only Islanders, but that
And
they are behind Montreal. So at the end, you know what I mean?
Islanders have a couple.
And no,
well, it's 3-2.
no
3-2
overtime
right now.
No overtime either, eh?
Hey, Entertap, your two favorite teams are playing Winnipeg and Islanders. There's 6 minutes left. 3-2 Islanders right now, but Winnipeg, it's only 3-2 and it's 6 minutes left. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So, Nartab, did you answer that question? By the way, I apologize.
No, I didn't, but I'll make it very quick. Absolutely. Good deal.
Not allowed for me.
Okay.
Really?
Yep, not allowed for me.
Pourquoi?
When I said
Pourquoi?
Ben, on Montreal Canadiens gave the right amount for Jake Evans. Does it make sense?
Yes. It is the right amount.
So it's
I
not
think
a no ban for Montreal Canadiens about the contract of Jake Evans.
It's not a huge, like, I think it's a good deal. Like
It's a great deal. It's a great deal. I agree with you, but it's not a no ban.
Yeah. What's a no
We'll
ban?
see.
Maybe I'm getting it confused. Doesn't that mean
it's a bargain.
it's a good deal?
bargain. A bargain.
A bargain.
It's a bargain deal.
I think if you look at what the NHL average is for third or fourth line center and what he contributes to the team, I think it is a bargain.
And especially with the cap, like, it's the percentage, right?
Yes,
Like-
yes,
like-
absolutely.
Yeah, like, so in reality, this contract here, it's going to be like he gets paid, like, in 3 years from now, it's going to be like he gets paid $1.5 million,
Right.
if not less.
And the other thing, and again, as we discussed earlier, the part that makes it aubaine again is the fact that if you don't like it in 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, you can get rid of it very easily.
Yeah. I think it's a good deal. It's a very, very good deal.
Change your mind, coach. Go, come on. Come on.
No, but I apologize, guys. I don't know why, but my TV fall on the house chamber right now at the US, and I think we should you should do that with us. Every time you stop up and down, like sit up and stand up. He'll be a good shape in the next month, Mr. Tap. If you do this every show, you show happy. Like it's crazy. They are like a statue.
Yeah.
Like they click on my button here, and it go up, and then it go down. It's crazy. They are like 200 at the same time. Like a good dancing move we can do at some point.
I'm recording that, Coach. I'm going to
Impressive.
watch it right after. I'm watching that right after I'm done watching. So,
Well, enjoy for that.
no
And after
score.
that, use will add a players. Can use I'm talking about will add a players center number 2 before the end of the trade deadline.
Well, if he can deliver that home run that we were talking about, I think there is a possibility. I still believe it's more something that may get addressed over the summer. But to answer the question, I guess, I mean, these are so absolute, these answers.
Yeah.
I want to
yeah.
say maybe.
Yeah.
I'll go with not at all. I don't think they'll do it right now. It's hard to get a good 2C. Nobody's willing to give it up.
I'm gonna have to agree with my colleague here. Like, I think he will try. I think he's trying right
Yeah.
now to do it. But it's going to be tough to thread the needle on something like that at this time of the year. I agree 100%. So I'm going to say not at all, but it won't be because of a lack of trying. He's
Right.
definitely out there and
All
doing
right.
it.
You know, the chance to do it would be very light, really slim. So I agree with you about that, but I think he will do it, something like that, for sure.
He'll
Marco,
try.
Montreal Canadiens get the number 1. Should get a number 1 over Montembeau.
Oh man. Well, okay. So we all know Cam
It's
Fowler.
getting hotter, Marco. It's getting hotter right now.
Yeah. All right. Good. So we know Jacob Fowler's coming, right? But we don't know how long that will take. We don't. It's having a goalie is a very delicate procedure. You have to kind of be delicate, and you're not just going to throw a guy into the NHL. So I think Montreal has seen some opportunities go by in this last year. You had goalies that we never thought maybe would be on the market, like Askarov and now Knight, kind of leaving Florida. You had some really good opportunities if you really wanted to go out and secure a future number 1 blue chip prospect guy. You had your chance to do that. There's not a lot of those guys out there. Right now the goaltending carousel, Coach, there's just not a lot of number 1 goaltenders that are floating around out there. There's maybe 7 true number 1 goalies in the entire league right now, if you really think about it. So listen, if they passed on the opportunities, like we know that they were in on Askarov in the past. So I'm going to say not at all. I think they really like Fowler, and we'll see kind of what happens with Dobesh here, like in terms of being able to
And
continue
it could
to
be
show his
for next season, Marco. It was not only the
No,
end of the
I know
season.
what you mean. Yeah, I understand. I don't think for
Okay.
next year. I think they'll evaluate how Dobesh kind of finishes the year if they're confident that he's going to be able to be a backup. I don't think I've seen anything from Montembeau that tells me that they can't go into next season with him. I think when Montreal has played, like both Dobesh and Montembeau, when Montreal plays the right way and they play defensively and they don't give away cross crease chances and they don't give away crazy chances in the slot, they perform just as good as they're like top 15 in the NHL in overall goals goals saved against or above, right? So to me, as long as Montreal plays well defensively, I think they should be okay for next year with Montembeau and Dobesh. So not at all. I wouldn't do something for next year, especially with Askarov and with Knight already off the market.
And after
Yeah, I say not at all as well. I think they have their number 1 in Fowler. They just obviously want to give him a couple years to properly develop. I think he's had yet again a superb year, and he's starting to, assume more responsibility in terms of moving up, probably to the AHL next year. and Monte will be, I think, he'll be a very reliable backup to Fowler eventually. So right now he's a good stopgap until Fowler is ready. So not at all.
You know what? You can. Would you like to make a push for the goaltender from Utah, Velmeka?
No.
Vamelka, last year I would have. This year I'm not as
He have a good year this year.
well. He started
Not
Last
as
off
year,
a
good as
bit slow.
last year he
It's
struggled.
Ingram.
Last year he
Yeah, last
struggled.
year he struggled. Yeah, sorry, the year before that
Yeah,
he
yeah,
had a
yeah,
great
yeah.
year. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I think it really depends. Let's see how Dobesh finishes the year. If he can show that he can play, so how many games does Montreal have left? 20?
21.
21? If he can play 7 games and play well, then I think that gives us a good hint
Leave
as
it
to whether
alone. Yeah.
This is the prediction about 7 game. Marco 4 games back to back, uh, plus 3 or 4
Yeah.
after that. So you're right about the number, the point about that one over there. Um. All right. 1, 2, 3. And after that, Montreal or Utah and the playoff.
Montreal is 1 point out. And what's Utah now? I think they're
they are
I
four
think they're
points out.
3, 4
4
points out.
points,
Okay.
same
Uh
games.
Montreal or Utah in the playoffs. So it's one or the other. So I'll go with hmm, I'll go with absolutely. I think Montreal could squeeze in. Nobody in the East seems to want it. So if they could just continue what they're doing, they might find themselves in.
Marco, he look like more. He look like most.
I'm just confused. Like what? I'm just confused why you chose Utah. Like to me, a more interesting question is
Yeah.
maybe St. Louis.
St.
St. Louis,
Louis would have been good.
Because
Yeah.
St. Louis, they have a 3 game over most of the team.
yeah. Well, they have one more game played than Utah, so they're at 62 games.
Yeah.
Utah's at 61 games, so their win percentage is almost it's exactly the same, right? I like
Yeah.
St. Louis though, to be honest, over Utah. Like, if they don't sell, like I know Braden Shen and a couple other players kind of are in the rumor mill. But there's something about St. Louis, Binnington, after his big moment at the First Nations and everything. So I don't know. I'll answer this question. I'll ignore the fact that you said Utah, and I'll insert St. Louis and say not at all, and it will be St. Louis that makes the playoffs instead of Montreal. I warped your question to my liking.
Montreal, Utah, and the playoff, or we said one of the two will make the playoff.
You think Utah's gonna outlast St. Louis, Coach?
The
No,
St. Louis
I
Blues.
don't
If
think
you watch
Utah.
the Blues yesterday, this is
Yeah.
the. If you look about this, they play the last couple of games the backs they can be. They possibly trade Brendan Shine, and they're going to
No.
trade and someone else. So I think for me, the Blues are going to go down. They lost yesterday, and I think that would not is not going to. This is the best they play in the last. So I believe it's what I feel for the Blues. I don't believe on them. This is a team, a brutal team like Washington, and if they can get a couple of players during the summer, could become a good team. About that
All right.
and the
Yeah.
future.
I think
Yeah.
Utah, like, I don't believe in Utah. Like, I like Utah, but I just think they're missing some pieces too. They have so much cap space. Like, when are they going to use
They
that
do.
cap space? Jeez.
And they have
Uh,
lots of picks and prospects. Like
I thought
they
they would have
haven't
been
really moved.
way.
Very
I thought they
soon.
would have been way more aggressive.
Ryan Smith have
Yeah.
not only the cap space, he have the pocket full, the space
Yeah.
Yeah.
to get put the
Yeah,
money
yeah.
out there. Montreal gagne more points que Ottawa or Detroit at the end of the year.
Ooh.
Ottawa or Detroit? I'm gonna say absolutely. I just don't like where Detroit and Ottawa are headed. No surprise. I didn't think that Ottawa would hang on, but Detroit now that's what 3 in a row they lost. I think 3 or 4, and they're not looking good in the process. So I'm going to say absolutely.
Marco.
By the way, Islanders. That's a final, so Islanders win against the Winnipeg Jets, unfortunately. So our perfect night was ruined. It's very close though. I'm gonna say not at all, guys. Like, I know Ottawa, like struggled since the break, but again, like they were missing Brady Kachuk, they were missing Norris, they were missing Pinto. So I think they're going to turn it around. Allmark has not looked very good. I think it would be smart for them to bring back that Finnish kid. That what was it, the kid that they had that was like killing it. That is back in Belleville. What was the goalie that they had up? Vertalainen, or
Oh,
who's the
yeah,
man? He was.
yeah,
I don't know
something like
what.
that. Do you remember,
Yeah,
Coach?
he's who's the goalie that
He's the,
Ottawa brought up that they have. I don't know, somebody in the chat can let us. I forget who his name was, but
yeah, I forget his
yeah, like
name, but yeah,
Allmark has not looked good since his return, but obviously they're going to continue to go with him. Forsberg is always kind of touch and go a little bit. So no, I'm going to say, like, again, I hope I'm wrong here, but um, I am pretty sure that that Ottawa and Detroit will finish ahead of Montreal, but I think it's going to be cold.
Absolutely,
both of
Montreal
them.
have more points Ottawa, Detroit at the end
Yeah.
of the year, Mr. Nartap. Marco,
Yeah,
Calgary, Vancouver, Utah, St. Louis. Which team? The World Cup number 2. I know you answer now, but
Yeah, yeah. I like out of all these teams, like Vancouver. I don't know. They're just rearranging the furniture on the Titanic right now. It seems like with Vancouver, like the cellos are playing. It's not looking good over there. So Calgary, I think good effort, but I think they're just going to, unless they do something, I think they're just going to come up a bit short. And like I said, I like St. Louis over Utah. Like Steve G is saying, like I think they definitely have. They're playing it smart, and like I agree, like they have a lot of cap space. I just wish they would have find an opportunity to use it here to kind of help them for this year, because that city, like would be exciting for them to get playoff hockey. And I love the Bear too, so I'd love to see the Bear actually be able to coach in the playoffs. But I'm going to say St. Louis. I like their team. Lots of good things happening there, so I think they pull it out.
Mr. Nartap.
I would agree. I think St. Louis is the team to watch out for here. We always talk about, players that and what the effect is once they come back from a tournament like the Four Nations. And there's no player I think that benefited more so than Binnington, and I think he can carry the team into a wild card spot. So, St. Louis.
I don't like my answer, but Calgary would be which the team can go there. But hopefully they can make it, so that will give Utah to make it. So that's my hope. That's the only thing my
Who has
answer
the
would be the
best?
hope about that
Who
one.
has the best goaltending in all these teams? Yeah,
Calgary.
between
Justin
Calgary and
Wolf.
St. Louis. I'd say
Yeah.
between Calgary and St. Louis, right?
Yep.
So you always go with the goaltender, but I don't know. We'll see.
That's conclude the clash tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go back on the subject we got tonight. Here we go. Now, here's the point, Mr. Nartap. And that injury, what to do with that, Mr. Nartap? So we have to look in about front player you can maybe pick targeting. And I put some name over there. I'm missing couples you're going to add. So when you see the name, wait to give us an answer. We have Zegras, Cousin, Nemec, Chirichek, McCann, Tonato, Bennett, Tavares. Now, I'm going to give you name, and you're going to tell me if you would like to make a trade or not for those players. First of all, I'm going with Alan Wenberg. Marco.
Alex Winberg from San Jose right now.
Yep.
No, I think I think he's a very underrated center. But I think he's a version of Jake Evans, right? He has a left-handed shot. I think he'd be probably an upgrade over Dvorak, right? So if you don't sign Dvorak, and you want a left-handed shot, like let's say you're not able to secure that second line center, that's a left-hand shot, and you really want a left-handed center, and you don't go Dvorak, maybe that's a guy that you would target. But he wouldn't be my first choice. I don't think he's somebody that can play in your top 6, ideally.
OK, mais ça, on retape. Dylan Cousin.
If you can get him at the right price, Coach, I definitely think he could help. I like his play. I think it's solid. I mean, I know he's had a not the greatest of years, and last year, I think it was last year also wasn't the greatest, but he's a guy I think that can. He's one of those kids that I think will continue to develop, and he's going to be. He's a gamer. You can tell just the way he's got a bit of sandpaper to him as well, which is something that you need. I would say yes with Cousins if they can get him at the right price.
That's
Marco.
not gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's not
I
gonna
would
happen.
not. I watched him for the last month a lot. I would not touch Dylan Cousin.
And again, like what they're just not good trading partners, right? Like what does Montreal have that Buffalo would want? They don't want futures. And again, he's a right-handed center. So just not I just don't think it's the right fit.
Marco, between Nemec, Chirichek, or Thompson, or any right defenseman in NHL, maybe you can talk about maybe Ramis Anderson or whatever. What will be Montreal Canadiens targeting, or you think they should do?
So again, like I think like if you're going like I think you have to finish your evaluation of Mayu. I think we've established that we're all confident Reinbacher is going to be. I think he's going to play with Hudson, right? So I think he's going to be in your top 4 no matter what. So it really comes down to kind of what's going to happen with Mayu. I think Carrier is showing that he can play in your top 4 for now. So I'm going to maybe surprise some people, but if you're not going to like, I'm not sure I would go for Nemec or Jiricek right now because it'd be pretty expensive for somebody who you might not need in your top 4 at this point. If Mayu ends up being able to play in your top 4, I would rather save those assets to go after that second line center that we've been talking about because that's also going to be very expensive to go get unless you can sign Bennett like as a free agent. So for me, if you don't sign Savard as that bottom pair / 7th defenseman, there's other players. I think like a Jan Ruda kind of guy, like a good experienced right-handed defenseman that is just going to be solid back there. Like that's the kind of player that I would target. Not going to bust the bank, but add good value and solidify that defense. Again, still going to be a young decor next year. So it's probably not a sexy answer, Coach, but at this stage, until you're finished your evaluation of Mayu, unless it really falls in your lap here, I'm not making a move for Nemec. If I had to pick between Nemec and Jiricek, I'm picking Jiricek though over Nemec.
Marco, in our top, between McCann, Donado, Raquel, do you think the Montreal should target one of the 3 or not allowed?
For the reasons I stated earlier, I think McCann would be a good option for Montreal. I think he can be had from Seattle, and it probably wouldn't cost you a heck of a lot. He's got a very decent contract. He's a left-handed center. He's got good size. I think he's 6'1",
Is he a center,
185. He
really
is. He's played center numerous times. They only moved him onto the wing in Seattle because they're strong up the middle. Ever since they picked up Stevenson last year, and they have Wright and they have Matty Beniers. Like they're very strong up the middle, so they put him on the wing. But I think the first year he went when Toronto had McCann, and then opted to let him go to. Yeah,
they kept instead.
I think that year he played center for Seattle, but he also played center. I think it was with
Vancouver. Well, he jumped around.
Or Vancouver. Yeah, he's had about 3 or 4 teams now.
Cool.
So McCann would be
Vancouver.
Vancouver, I think.
McCann was with Pittsburgh.
And Pittsburgh as well. Like he's been with about 4 teams now. So I wouldn't mind McCann, especially just to sort of see them through until somebody else is ready, like a Hage. So we're only talking 2.5 years if they get him now.
So, guys, I'm looking at McCann's history. He's never had over 47% face-offs in his whole career. So,
But again, that's go back on your question, Marco, earlier, where I agree with you. Like, try to get a player play winger, try to put him back at center. It's not honestly the right things to do. We better to looking for a player. It's been always been a center of the career to go with that kind of players. For me, that would be what I'm looking for. Finally, Marco, you have the last one on that one. And after we go to answer two. If you had a chance to sign John Tavares for a 3 year deal or less, would you sign him or not?
for 3 years, what's the amount?
He's not going to get more as $7 million. Will be maybe between 5 to 6,
Yeah.
maybe
So,
2 years,
I'll say
3 years
this.
max. You know what I mean?
All right. So, first of all, it's never going to happen. The guy wore Toronto Maple Leaf pajamas in his bed, so there's not zero chance he'll
So
ever
I
sign a
thought.
Montreal. So, listen, I'll answer your question because I'm polite and I want to make it exciting. But yes, I would absolutely sign John Tavares to a 3 year, $6 million deal. I think he's almost like still a point per game player, coach. Amazing at face-offs. I think it'd be a really, really good transition. And again, like at a 3 year deal, especially with where the salary cap is going, if let's say like the only thing that would make me a bit nervous, as you guys know, I think I talk about it here a lot, when you're signing a player over in his 30s, the number one thing I look at is skating. And John Tavares' skating has never been his forte, right? So the main thing you're worried about is the wheels falling off. So even if the wheels do fall off in the 3rd year of the deal, I think you can find a way to bury him or kind of like move him, right? So 100% I would sign him for that if I'm Montreal. So if his name was John Schmaneres and he never played for the Toronto Maple Leafs and didn't grow up in Toronto and all that, I would absolutely do it, but there's zero chance that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen at all. And as much as those things you brought up are true, Marco, I still think he just doesn't fit really with Montreal. I think he's on the. How old is he now? 33, 34,
5.
35? Yeah, like I mean, to pick him up for 2 or 3 years, I think he's probably will have seen his best years behind him. I know you always want an experience there, but I think you can get younger experience than Tavares. Bennett, I would love to have. I think he checks off a lot of the boxes that are needed for second centerman, and he's got playoff experience, which is the ultimate.
Oh yeah, if the question was, which one do I sign between Bennett and Tavares? Well, that's obvious, right? Like the question is, how much are you willing to overpay for Sam Bennett? That's the.
What do you
question.
think Bennett will go for?
If he goes to the open market, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes over $8 million. If he goes to the market, would you guys be surprised if he goes over $8 million?
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
Yeah. So if you're, we don't know what his history is. Like, we know he's Canadian, obviously. I think he's more from the GTA era, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if he was ever yeah. So I don't think we're going to get lucky. Maybe he's like one of those closet Habs fans or something like that. There's a picture of him wearing like Habs jersey when he was 4 years old. His grandpa was a Habs fan. I don't know. It would be cool if there's like some kind of emotional tie-in for him that he would want to go play there. One player, guys, that maybe should be on this list. I don't know if he'll still be available, right? But Matt Duchene hasn't re-signed for Dallas, has he, for next year?
I think. I don't know.
I think again, this is the guy that John Tavares. He will stay in Dallas because it's close to Nashville. and everything is in Nashville now. I don't know what
He
he
was
was
very
saying,
close to signing.
country senior, whatever it is. He's maybe the
He was
next
very close to
Toby
signing in
Keith,
Montreal
but
before. He was very close to signing in Montreal before, right?
before that, but he would not leave. He would not leave. This is another player at 33 years old, I believe he is, or another old player. That would bring you my next question, Marco, and I tap. You have Malkin,
By the way,
Crosby, O'Reilly, those kind of players like that. Would you like to sign a player like that for a transition over 30 years old, or you prefer to get a player younger at the level like Carson and everybody else?
Oh yeah, like again,
yeah,
you got I think the ideal profile is like a 23, 24-year-old guy. That's the ideal, right? But there's not a lot of them, coach. Like go look at the depth charts of all the NHL teams and how many of them have like top 6 centers that aren't exist like that they're not playing or that potentially would be available. There's not a lot. So, maybe like and it's going to cost really super expensive to get one of those guys. So, you either have to draft them or you have to kind of pay really really expensive to get them. So either they find a trading partner, like is it like a Dvorsky or like a McTavish, like like those are kind of like really really good blue chip prospects, or yeah, you're gonna have to go get a transitional player and draft somebody, right? Maybe Montreal can. Again, one thing we talked about is there's offer sheets, right? So what centers are coming up that are going to be restricted free agents that Montreal can maybe really be aggressive on. That's another interesting one, something that I haven't looked at yet to see which centers are going to be restricted free agents that looking for teams that we could victimize that way. That's another interesting one. But listen, like Crosby's not, I don't think, going to go anywhere. Malkin maybe. I don't have any problems, like I said, getting somebody that's in their 30s as the transition guy. The reason I look at Duchesne maybe over some of the other guys that you talked about again is the skating, right? His skating is way like much better than some of the old like Malkin skating is kind of an issue. We talked about Tavares. So to me, Duchesne can really scoot around still. So
by the
I don't
way,
know what you think.
Marco, he is a UFA at the end of this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's making $3 million right now, so
Yeah. He took
it's
a
not an
he took a cut, like he took a hometown discount to be in
yeah,
Dallas, being a
yeah.
competitive team. But I'm pretty sure you could get Duchesne at under like probably around 5 million next year.
Again, the problem is I think he's almost 35 right now.
Yeah. But he can still move, man. Like watch him play.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's
You're right.
like
As long as you can skate in this league, you're a valuable asset. That's
yeah.
always a must. Yeah.
If I ask you, you have a chance to sign Trevor Zegras, would you do it? If it's not,
No.
why the reason behind that, Marco?
Well, again, I've said this multiple times. The moment that they drafted Demidov, the possibility of Trevor Zegras playing in Montreal pretty much ended. If they drafted some like a different type of player, like I think Montreal, from what we heard, did have some interest in Trevor Zegras. But now that you have a player like Demidov and you already have Caulfield, I just don't
Michael
think
Edge.
it's the right fit. Yeah, Michael Hedge, yeah, absolutely. Like just again another not like he's tall, Michael Hedge, like he's just slightly over 6 foot, but he's not a big guy, right? He's not a big strong guy.
Not yet.
So, yeah, I just don't think it's a good fit. I can tell like who is it? Like it's a bit Casey R. He's been all over the chat the last week, uh, carpet bombing our chat with trading for Trevor Zegras. So he's a big Trevor Zegras fan, but I just really really don't think it's a big it's a good fit at all, based on kind of the makeup that Montreal already has. So, and then, you have questions about his two-way play a little bit. I think kind of like Caulfield last year, like his production's gone down. I watched a lot of Anaheim games in the last maybe like 20 games because they're so fun to watch. You can see like I don't think there's anything wrong with his attitude. Similar to Caulfield last year, I think he is working on his two-way game, and maybe that's why his offensive production has taken a bit of a step back. So I don't buy into the fact that he has a bad attitude. but I just don't think he's the right fit for Montreal, unfortunately.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's because Casey loved Cole Caulfield. He believed his friends should play together. But like
Okay.
I said that Leonardson like his friend is Macklin Celebrini. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know what I
it's
mean.
a hard pass too.
Yeah.
So
Good point by
I
Nicholas too. Sorry, before we
really
move on
doesn't.
from that, good point from Nicholas here. We didn't bring up Casey Middlestat. That's another left-hand shot. Like, it makes you a little bit nervous. Like, Colorado spent a lot to go get him, and they're moving on from him so quickly. So it makes you really wonder about that guy a little bit. But that's
Yeah.
that's the exact profile, right? Like, left-handed shot, under 25, pretty high pedigree. Like, so you just wonder what's gone wrong for Middlestat. Like, but that's he's out there for sure.
And like Steve said, maybe he's under like kind of new hook situation for Casey Middlestad, a third line, second line, borderline, everything like that. I think for me, they need absolutely a solid second center in NHL. That's for me. They cannot go with a winger. Maybe he can play there, whatever it is. I think that's
Yeah.
for me as and no doubt in my mind they have to go down.
Yeah, you're talking about long term, and I agree 100% with that. But if it's just for 2 years, 2 or 3 years, it's you can find somebody that's reliable that can play the position and just
Then why
allow
not
them
just keep
to.
Doc? Why not just keep Doc then? Because, like, it's the same thing,
Because
right? Like,
I think we've kind of seen where the
If you go
direction
that
with him is.
direction
He
and our
stays
type
with the
Marco,
team, it'll be on the wing.
if you go that direction, but a guy like between 32 years old to 34 years old, been in NHL, a leader, win the Stanley Cup, or a really well-known player, have a lot of, skill, everything like that. I think that's the kind of players I will look targeting if you look at short term, like 2 years. But you look about longer term, you have to get a great center with, of course, a
Yeah,
younger at 30
yeah,
years old, for my opinion. So, look, we can go here
agreed.
for all night. Honestly, I want to finish this to be sure we respect the time for everyone. Um, I want to give you a chance to talk about the next game. I think it's really important for the Montreal Canadiens. And we talk about Edmonton Thursday night. Edmonton losing 4-1, I believe. And you have also Calgary, the Flames, Saturday night game at Edmonton is at 9 o'clock p.m. So let us, what do you think about that? What you looking for, or you preview those games, Marco?
like I previewed, like, I think I definitely want to see them. I think, like I said, it's a good timing for them to go on the road. You want them to kind of refocus and get back to kind of how they were playing against Ottawa and Carolina versus kind of how they played against San Jose and Buffalo. So I'm looking for them to kind of refocus, go back to playing the right way, play simple. So I think that's what I'm looking for, coaches. Use this as an opportunity. These are going to be tougher games. I think they've played both these teams pretty well in the last little while. So I think they have a shot at like, you hope that at least they at least go 500 on this road trip here. So be interesting to see. I think Monty will probably get. Or these are not back to backs, right? So I think Monty will
No,
probably
they're
get.
not.
Yeah, so I think Monty probably gets both starts. So should be fun. Like, I'm not super excited about staying up late to watch hockey because I have to wake up early for work, but it's all good. It's
Well,
going
it's
to be
Friday
fun.
morning, Marco. You'll
Okay.
be fine.
Okay, well, that's good.
And again, in our time, he lied to us because you can talk him at 1 o'clock and he's watching Vancouver versus
I'm watching.
Anaheim.
Yeah,
So
I'm watching them
it's
all.
just an excuse in our time he tried to bring on the table.
Exactly. Yeah, you
So
know what? Like, I think the good thing, coach, is they're catching Edmonton at the right time in terms of the fact that they haven't been the same team since McDavid's come back, and as that team goes, they go, and then hopefully after the trade deadline, I think things settle down, and they'll play with a little bit more structure and confidence in their game.
we have a Van is in the house, guys. A lot of people pop up at the end of the show, guys. Thanks so much to join us tonight. Don't forget, guys, to click on the like if you don't mind. That'd be great. And we want to thank two super chat, Pizza and Darrell. did a super chat to us tonight. We want to thank, of course, all the people in the chat. Click on the likes. As you can about the news and update, what a great, perfect night for the Montreal Canadiens. Of course, with all the losing game, fun team like Detroit, Columbus, Boston, all in front of them, Flowers too. Only Islanders win a game tonight. And A2 have a great question that we have to elaborate more, but if you are right now the Devils, are you concerned?
Yeah, you should be. Columbus is not too far away, and like I think they have 2 games in hand on New Jersey, right? So they're looking for another center coach. Like,
Yeah.
I think, they need to
They will.
be
They'll make a move. I'm not overly concerned because I think they've created enough bubble for themselves, and they're a good enough team that they can probably overcome this obstacle.
You mean the obstacle of Hughes maybe being gone for a long extended period of time?
Just talking
Well,
about
yeah,
that,
like,
just like the game 3-3.
There you go.
Yeah.
He said,
They've got.
we're
a
not
lot
going
of talent.
nowhere. We're going to get that fun. We want to thank you guys and Marco and Arthur for their time tonight on the notebook. They're going to be back possible Friday afternoon for the trade deadline in NHL. Stay tuned. Is it finished at 3 p.m. or 12 p.m.?
Yes.
3
p.m.
3 p.m., right? So we're going to follow up everything's going on. And of course, Sunday night, we'll go to the weekly report with NRTAP and Devin. Until then, my friend, of course, the only reason the show is getting better and better is because that's who they are. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. That's how we want to thank Mr. Marco and NRTAP. And of course, be well, be healthy. Find a way not only dominate your day, but find a way to dominate the first app of what, Marco?
You're 2025.
Here we go. Thanks so much, both of you. I wish you an amazing, great night. I will see you around during the end of the week.
Good night, everyone. Good night, guys.
I'm trying
Thanks,
to wait
guys.
for you. I can eject them. Salut, Marco. That's all, guys. Well, this is a great show of the Notebook, Montreal Canadiens. Hopefully, you have an amazing, great night, everybody. We enjoy all of you. Don't forget, please, to subscribe, click on the likes, and come back for another show of the Montreal Canadiens tomorrow night. And we maybe do the Laval Rocket. If not, we'll be back at 8:30. Check your notification. Have an amazing, great night, guys. And of course, at the end, it's coming. It's coming. We're going toward the end of the music. We wish you an amazing, great night, everybody. The Hockey Nation, I show the Ab Nation will tell you one more thing. We love you, everybody. Have a good night. Peace out. Booyah.